Welcome everyone. Welcome fellow data nerds. Let's settle this once and for all. Data is cool. Every marketer knows that data is the fuel that runs the entire digital marketing engine. And I think over the course of a decade, we've seen just how game-changing it can be in helping businesses grow. But what you're about to see next, well, that's an entirely different ballgame. These are the latest data innovations and incredible data use cases that I guarantee will wow you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the first speaker. I'd like to welcome Isabelle Rochon, VP of Client Services at Astute, the customer engagement platform that you may have heard has recently acquired Socialbakers. Pretty exciting, right? Well, Isabelle comes to us with over a decade of experience managing teams that help businesses ensure the best customer experiences possible. And guess what? Data is at the core of those experiences. And Isabelle will share what that means precisely.
Thank you, Mantis. Today, I want to talk about data awareness, the key to a strong CX. We'll be talking about data awareness, but not in the context of security. It's more about being aware of the data you have and the data you need in order to improve your customers' CX. This shows the incredible importance of CX. But what does it mean for you, and how can you use that to improve your clients' experiences with your brand? If we look at those numbers, I think that especially in 2020, with all that is going on, consumers are more empathetic and more forgiving. They expect a longer delivery time, they expect to have to wait, and they also expect for limited stocks to be available. So they will be more forgiving if it's delivered a day or two late, which is usually not the case. Now, the flip side of that is that they are making an effort and they're being empathetic. So if you as a company are not even trying, they will not be forgiving and they will move on to your competitors. And then companies look at their engaged customer to see which segments they should nurture. But did you ever think that maybe a client is not engaged, not because they don't like your product or services, but simply because the customer experience that you're offering doesn't match their expectations? Let's define the customer experience. 45% of CX leaders define the customer experience as this: the customer's aggregate perceptions of your company based on all their interaction with your brand, product, and services. The customer journey spans from awareness all the way to advocacy. But many companies look at it in silos: the customer support experience, the digital experience, the in-store experience. Don't get me wrong. I believe that you should track all these experiences, but what the customer will retain is one global brand experience, and that's what you need to improve upon. Now, let's look at the forces behind the upcoming data trends. There's a growing demand of data, a growing mass of data, and growing complexity in the market. Over the past couple of years, we've heard repeatedly about AI, machine learning, and big data. So it's no surprise that there's a growing demand for data by data scientists or BI analysts. To feed that demand, companies are gathering more and more data points. So there's a growing mass of data. And mixed with that, the competitive environment that is becoming more and more complex, and the growth of knowledge that correlates to the complexity of the world we live in. If we look at the amount of data that we accumulate, we're a bit under 60 zettabytes in 2020. That will nearly triple by 2025 because the amount of data that we get doubles every 3 years. So it's no surprise that it can become overwhelming and confusing looking at all of this. The trends that are being predicted for 2021 is continuous intelligence. So automatic, near real-time decision support making. Think Amazon recommendation. Data ops, so delivering value by introducing data in common product and services. Think continuous improvement, continuous delivery in software. Then data democratization, meaning that everybody should be exposed to all of the data. And the last one, and that's the one I want us to focus on, is data meshes. So data as an actual product and not a byproduct. The premise of data meshing is that it is used to connect distributed data across different locations and organizations. Company who can analyze a large quantity of complex data and turn it into actionable insights will have a competitive advantage. For all that to happen, everyone needs to align the data that they collect, whether they're in marketing, finance, or whatnot. But what does it look like in the context of CX? So, for example, you would have your customer support data, your analytics data, your in-store and POS data, and digital, whether it's social or website, all feed into a system that would then transform it into consumable data that you can use to feed your insights, your BI, coach your agents, and even improve on your product. Again, data needs to be seen at this point as a product. So to get the full picture, let me give you an example. I go on a website to make a purchase. I get on the site, put in my information, and when I try to book online or purchase, I get an error and I can't proceed. Next step is going to be for me to call customer support, where they will complete the transaction for me and then send me a confirmation email where they're going to ask me to rate the agent. The agent was amazing, so I'm going to give them a 10. But does that mean that my entire experience was a 10? Because it wasn't. If you were to look at my web analytics, I would show up as a non-converter because I put something in the cart but didn't check out. If you look at session replay, you will see that when making my purchase, I make the wrong selection or there was actually a bug on the page, so I couldn't proceed. And if you look at your VOC data, I will tell you that I went on your site to make a purchase because of a technical difficulty. I was not able to proceed. That my next step is going to be to call the agent. Now, that's what we need to improve upon. Maybe there's a UI issue that didn't allow me to make the right selection. Or maybe there was actually a bug, and because I have the web analytics with the OS that I'm using and the browser that I'm using, the dev team will be able to replicate. What we need to do is make sure that we fix the experience at its core and not only provide a good experience when I fail my task. It's more and more complex. When you think about it, customer support is not just a hotline anymore. It's DMs, it's Facebook, it's any feedback that you can give online. And an experience in store is very different whether it's for return or purchase. And matching the in-store experience with your POS data will give you that information. 96% of CMOs think that making data-informed decision is crucial to their company's performance, according to McKinsey's study. And CX has taken over product and price as the most important competitive differentiator, according to the Walker Customer 2020 report. Now, data-driven economy is fueling the importance of CX, and data has become the most valuable assets of companies. My dad always says that you cannot start or make a fire with wet wood. And just like you need good dry wood to fuel your fire, you need good clean data to fuel your processes and products, and good data is a lot more valuable. The other thing is that true marketing insights need to be based on customer data analysis. So duplicate data and privacy policies can create some blind spots. Also, a user might be Bob on Facebook, Rob when talking with a live agent, and Robert when making a purchase on your site. That can create confusion. So having it in one place with one common metric that aligns you to piece the entire experience together is definitely crucial. Now, again, talking about data awareness and about collecting and analyzing the right data, there are a few things we need to keep in mind. Don't try to do it all at once. Trying to solve everything all at once can be overwhelming and can take a lot of time. Instead, focus on one goal and make sure you have the data you need to optimize it and track your process as you move along. Also, know your limits. With increased data privacy concerns, browsers not allowing you to track everything on the site, you have to know what's available for you to work with. Also, the size of your teams and the tools you have will make an impact on what you can deliver on. So just be realistic with your expectations. Also, look at the big picture. I've said it again and again, the customer journey spans from awareness to advocacy, and you need to look at the entire experience and not only one fragment of that. And last point, focus on actionable data. If 90% of customers say that they do not like the privacy banner you have on your site because it blocks certain content, it's too bad, but you can't change it. Whether it's for legal or geographical reasons, there are things that you cannot modify. So don't waste your time. Instead, focus on things you can act upon, and that will allow you to optimize the experience. There is a slogan from the Marines that I really like: improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I think that in 2020, the CX professionals can tweak it a bit to make it their own. Analyze, adapt, and overcome. Thank you for your time.